Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce. My name is Kevin Alwi and I'm from Automotive Engineering Education, Padang State University. And in here, I will explain about the ignition system. An ignition system generates a spark of heat and electrode to a high temperature to ignite a fuel air mixture in a spark ignition internal combustion engine, oil fire and gas fire boil rocket engine, and then the widest application for spark ignition internal combustion engine is in a petrol road vehicle such as and motorcycle. Compression ignition diesel engine ignite the fuel air mixture by the heat of compression and do not need a spark. They usually have glow plug that heat the combustion chamber to allow starting in cold weather. Other engines may use a flame or heat tube for ignition. While this was common for a very early ignition, it's now rare. And then the ignition system is a typical control by a key operates ignition switch. Number 1. Mechanically timed ignition. Most four-stroke engines have used a mechanical time electrical ignition system. The heart of the system is the distributor. The distributor contains a rotating cam driven by the engine drive, a shape of the breaker point, a condenser, and a rotor and a distributor cap. External to the distributor is the ignition coil, the spark plug and wires linking the distributor to the spark plug and ignition coil. The system is powered by lead-acid battery and which is charged by the car electrical system use a dynamo or alternator. The engine operator can break point which interrupt the current and introduce coil. And the ignition coil consists of the transformer winding, the primary and secondary. This winding share a common magnetic core, and alternating current in the primary includes the alternating current in the secondary. The ignition coil secondary has more turn than the primary. This is a step-up transformer, which produces a high voltage from the secondary winding. The ignition firing sequence begins with the point close and a steady current flow from the battery through the current length meeting resistor through the primary coil, through the closed breaker point and finally back to the battery. This current produces magnetic field in coil occur. This magnetic field from the energy reservoir that will be used to drive the ignition spark. As the engine crankshaft turns, it also turns the distributor shaft at half the speed. In a four-stroke engine, the crankshaft turns twist ignition cycle, and a multi-loop cam restricted the distributor shaft. And during most of this cycle, the rubbing block keep for the point close to allow a current to build in the ignition coil primary winding. As a piston reaches the top of the engine compression cycle, that cam lock is high enough to cause the brake point to open. And the ignition coil voltage output is connected to the rotor that sits top of the distributor shaft. And surrounding the rotor is the distributor cap. The arrangement secondary direct the output of the secondary winding to the appropriate spark plug. The high voltage from the coil secondary causes a time voltage from the coil secondary a spark to form across to gap the spark plug that in turn ignites the compressed air fuel mixture within the engine. It is the creation of a spark which consumes the energy that was stored in the ignition coil magnetic field. high-performance engines with 8 or more cylinders that operate at high RPM, as tools used in motor racing, demand both a higher rate of spark and a high spark energy than the simple ignition circuit can provide. The problem is offered by using the adaptation 1 to the complete set of coil, breaker and condenser can be proven one set of each in the engine, which is a typical arranged configuration. Also, the two ignition systems have or electrical independence. The typical share or single distributor, which is the case, contains two breakers driven by the rotation cam, and a rotor with two isolate condensing plane for the two high voltage input, and a single breaker driven by cam and a return spring is a limit in spark rate by the one set of contact Bunsen float at high RPM. This limit can be overcome by switching for the breaker pair of breakers that the connected electrical in parallel but spaced on opposite side of the cam, so they are driven out of phase. And a distributor-based system is not greatly different from a magneto system except the more separate elements are involved. There are also advantages in arrangement. Be change a small amount dynamically, allowing the ignition timing to be automatic advance with increasing. And however, it is necessary to check the maximum opening gap of the breaker. And thanks for attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.